Welcome to the Lounge Lizards podcast. It's so good to have you here. It's a leisure and lifestyle podcast founded on our love of premium cigars, as well as whiskey, travel, food, work, and whatever else we feel like getting into. My name is Gizmo, and tonight I'm joined by Pooba, Senator, Rooster, and Bam Bam. And our plan is to smoke a cigar, drink some scotch, talk about life, and of course, have some laughs. So take this as your second formal invitation to join us and become a card-carrying lounge lizard. Plan to meet us here once a week. We're going to smoke a special edition New World cigar tonight, share our thoughts on it, and give you our formal lizard rating. We'll also chat about a variety of other things for the next hour. So sit back, get your favorite drink, light up a cigar, and enjoy as we pair Dalmore's Cigar Malt Scotch with Davidoff's 2021 Chef's Edition. So this cigar is a wacky blend. It's a hybrid Ecuadorian wrapper, a Mexican binder, and a Dominican filler from 4 different regions, which I thought was pretty wild.
You said Mexican, Dominican,
Ecuadorian
and
wrapper.
Ecuadorian.
Yeah.
This is very much like our Scotch pairing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's 48 by 7 inches. It's a Churchill by Davidoff. So you guys know a little bit more about this cigar than I do. Rooster, I think you...
Rooster knows the most.
Yeah, you know the most on this. So what is the story with this? They work with chefs and...
So basically, this is the, if you could call it the third edition of the chef's editions. There was the first one that I think came out about, I want to say like at least 7 years ago. 6 to 7 years ago. Then there was the edition number 2, and this is the third chef's edition. This is a Churchill, so I think this is the longest chef's edition that they came out with. And this cigar was created with 4 different chefs. And out of the 4 chefs, 3 of them have Michelin stars. First chef is Juan Amador from Vienna. Second one is Norbert Niederkoffler from Italy. And then Masa Takayama, New York City.
I know Masa.
And Jorge Vallejo from Mexico City. The first of these 3 chefs have each earned 3 Michelin stars each.
That's pretty incredible.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so it's their palate is somehow involved in this, and the input in the blend of this particular cigar. And I think there were different chefs who were involved in the first and the second chef's edition stick. So
on the cold draw, the smell, what are you guys getting?
Honestly, not much. Maybe a hint of pepper. I don't know.
I'm getting sushi, pasta, tacos.
Not much on the draw, the cold draw.
It tastes like cedar.
Mm-hmm. It's very woody.
I
Maybe a
agree.
little
Not
nut.
much on the cold draw, but if you smell the wrapper, I mean, it's got a sweet, chocolatey,
Well, you must
delicious
have a
aroma.
different one than I have.
You're not getting that?
Oh, you must have the Camacho.
Maybe.
Got the Camacho.
All right, let's light it up,
Camacho
boys.
chef's
I'm not getting cardboard nuts. I don't have the Camacho.
No hay. Here we go.
So I haven't had one of these. I know the rest of you guys have had one, right?
Let the magic begin.
Everybody else has had one?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very good on the light. And
Wow.
it's actually, I find it to be a unique for Davidoff. And having smoked one of these once before, I mean, right on the light, you get like vanilla and cedar. Definite vanilla.
That's very good.
It is good.
And it moves around. It builds up. It'll build.
I find, I mean, I've had this before, so I got pepper all the way through. I'm getting it right away,
Yeah.
which I love.
Do you feel it on the back of your tongue?
Yes.
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 So that's where you feel the pepper.
That's
Yeah.
exactly
So
right.
it's a very, I think they call it a linear cigar, when you feel the spice on the back of the tongue.
I feel like it's very well rounded. Like it's smooth. It has a little spice, a little sweetness, but nothing's kind of trying too hard.
The combustion is fantastic.
Oh, it's great.
And the packaging on this,
Oh yeah,
we should talk about that a little bit. It's
the presentation's incredible.
It's 10 sticks, and you get a porcelain ashtray with a cover on top, and the cover can be used as a tray, or it's got like indentations for glasses and
2 glasses and your
It's
cigar in the
two
middle.
glasses, cigars, cutter.
The presentation is outstanding.
It's slick. Yeah,
It's the best presentation from Davidoff in recent.
no doubt.
It's outstanding.
Something usable, something you would really use.
I mean, I think probably ever. Davidoff, I feel like of any of the brands, really loves to the packaging plays such a big role. It's more than just the cigar, but usually a lot of the things that they give you with these sticks are not all that useful. But I was blown away just opening that. It's
That's
like an
true.
experience just to unpackage these cigars.
Yep.
It really is. It's this cigar, and I don't want to jump ahead. It's a wonderful cigar. I know you haven't smoked it, Gizmo, but it's wonderful. It's
Well,
wonderful.
you've had it, right?
I'm enjoying it already. It's great.
Is everyone getting right off the bat Millennium like
Yeah.
Davidoff flavors?
Definitely.
We're
Definitely.
we're gonna
On
get
the
to
light, that's the
We're gonna
first
get to
thing
that.
I thought of
Yeah.
when I lit
Yeah.
this cigar. I said, "Wow, this is like a Millennium." But
I'm
a
not
lot
sure
of
who
flavors.
said it, but it's like a millennium on steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a great way of putting
Yeah.
it.
So you're, for those listening, you can find these cigars really anywhere that good Davidoffs are sold, online, in retail stores. And, to your point about the presentation, when these came in, it was like a 15, 20-pound box.
Yeah. Well, the
And
porcelain
I was
ashtray.
shocked. And then, when
massive.
you open it, what surprised me the most about it is Davidoff generally is a very expensive cigar.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I think it probably ranges from about 30 to 45, depending on where you buy it.
This
per
was
stick.
pretty reasonable, including
But
everything that you get.
I got like a discount and stuff.
That's why.
I did like,
That I enjoyed.
MSRP is 39.
yeah. So, anywhere you're going to find them somewhere around that 40 mark. But to get them in that 10 pack with the ashtray,
For that price that Gizmo sourced, come on.
it's pretty wild.
It's a good price.
Home run.
With the presentation. It is
Home run.
It's very nice.
To your point, you really can find these anywhere. I first found this cigar. I was in Baltimore a couple months ago. I've actually never spent any time in Baltimore. It was my first time there. And
I remember the photo.
Baltimore,
My condolences.
well, I was going to go exactly there. I mean, in fairness to Baltimore, that city gets a bad rap because I was not excited about needing to be in Baltimore for business. But
No
the
offense to those
waterfront-
listeners in Baltimore.
No offense, and actually credit, because the waterfront in Baltimore is incredibly beautiful.
Yeah.
We were staying at the Four Seasons there. I finally finished up everything I need to get done work-wise, and I'm wondering if there's a cigar lounge somewhere nearby. No exaggeration, about a 3-4 block walk from the hotel, there's a cigar shop. So I go in there to see what they have. They've got a bunch of Padrones. I was impressed. And then I saw some Davidoffs, and I had picked up a couple sticks I was going to buy, and as soon as I get to the register to pay, I go, whoa, wait a minute. They had the Chef's Edition. They had just gotten it in. There was only one stick that was purchased at that point. The guy must have got it within the last couple of days, and I actually smoked the first one there. Obviously, we'll talk more about it, but just a very impressive cigar. And it's got a lot of buzz, I feel like. I mean, as soon as I lit that up in that lounge, guys walking by noticed the stick and said, oh, is that the Chef's Edition? How is it? Everyone wants to try this cigar.
Wow.
So I think
The
there's something
dimension is
special.
impressive. It's a beautiful cigar. Looks great in your hand, Puba.
nice oily
It's an
wrapper.
elegant stick.
Yeah.
All around.
What's interesting too about this, when I was reading about it today, prepping for this, is that I don't know if Davidoff usually does this. Rooster may know better, or you guys may know better, but they announced that there's a limited amount of boxes, so only 9,500 boxes of this are to be released. So I thought that was interesting, given how pretty available it is.
I didn't know that.
That's not a lot of boxes for worldwide consumption.
Nope.
9,500.
No, not at all. I also have to say, I was thrilled to see that they decided to make this in a Churchill, because
Yeah.
the only Davidoff Churchill I've had is the late hour. And I think of any sizes the late hour comes in, the Churchill is by far, for me at least, the best. I think Davidoff makes a hell of a Churchill, so I'm thrilled that they decided to do this for the Chef's Edition.
Yeah, it's a super, super
Decent
super cigar.
smoke output.
Yeah, great combustion.
Very good.
Great combustion.
The draw is it's perfect. The draw is perfect.
For me, it's a combination of peppery and creaminess.
It's creamy.
How do you do that?
Lot of
I don't know.
cedar, lot
How
of
do you do
pepper.
that? How do you do that?
And there's vanilla in there, and then it gets bigger.
You know,
And it's not for the faint of heart.
I get the vanilla on the aftertaste for me. Not right on the draw, but on the aftertaste.
Yeah, on the
That's cool.
finish,
Yeah.
and but it is not by any stretch of the imagination a mild cigar. This is not a typical Davidoff in my view.
No way.
Where it's medium. This is not to me. This is a medium full to full.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Completely agree with that. That's why for me, the flavors are Millennium-like, but the Millennium is at its strongest medium full. I
That's
don't
right.
think it ever gets truly full.
Nope.
Where the late hour Churchill, I think actually gets full.
Yep.
And so to me, it was sort of a hybrid of the strength of the late hour, but the flavor profile of the Millennium.
This cigar has a level of refinement that maybe the late hour doesn't. Where the late hour kind of hits
was
you like a
about to go
2x,
there.
where it hits you a little bit like a
100%.
2x4 at some point during the journey of that smoke. I'm talking specifically about the Churchill now, where it not that it's not refined, because it is. It's a sophisticated cigar, and it's unique in how it tastes. But this has a level of complexity, I think, that's worth the premium price. I think that that makes it a real standout. It's a real standout because there's a level of complexity here that's not in the standard production Davidoffs.
I agree.
For my first time smoking it, I think complexity is the perfect word. To me, this is a more complex Millennium. If I were to sum it up in a short sentence, for me, that's what I'm getting.
And for the listener, this is a group that doesn't love Davidoff. I mean, like, does not love. Whoa! No, we don't.
I love my
We
Millennium.
love
Three sticks?
two
Two
or three
sticks.
sticks.
That's
in
true.
the production.
And that's it.
I think the
That's
only
it.
sticks that universally the lizards enjoy are the Millennium
Late
and the
hour.
late hour.
And that's it.
That's it.
And that's
Everything else Davidoff makes,
So-
I don't see anyone here regularly
That's
smoking
true.
or raving about. So
No,
I
it's
think
true.
Cuba is exactly
This is
right.
true.
We're not huge Davidoff
We are
fans, and the
not.
fact
That's
that we're
true.
all reacting so strongly to this cigar and saying that we love this,
Yeah, because
I
I
think
just
says
want.
a lot.
Yeah, because I just want to put that out there for folks that it's not like this group is a Davidoff fanboy club. We're not at all. Actually, quite the opposite. The ones that we just happen to like are the Millennium and the late hour. Not that the others, by the way, are bad. Davidoff makes great cigars overall. They make very good cigars, but many of them are lighter bodied cigars that don't have the complexity, I think, for the palate of this group.
And I think their pricing strategy makes a lot of decisions for us. I mean, if you're going to spend $15-$20 on a stick, it's got to be really great when, we're going to go for a Padron or we're going to go for a great Cuban. I think the way that they price their cigars, if I'm going to reach for a Davidoff and spend that money, it's got to be outstanding.
Right.
This
It's
is
expensive sticks, and this is very, very good.
There was thought put into this, and it's different.
I do have to say that I have, I'm kind of revisiting the Grand Cru series by Davidoff, and especially the Grand Cru Toro. Really enjoyed that stick lately. Got a box of that.
What size is it?
Triple Toro.
Double Toro?
It's a quadruple Toro.
There you go.
Bam's favorite size.
It's funny because the Toro
My wife complains
The
about that a
Toro
lot.
in Millennium is an awful. The Toro in Millennium is for some reason consistently awful.
I agree. It doesn't even burn well.
No.
No,
That's my biggest frustration is just the construction of the Millennium Toro is off. Something's not right.
Something's not
Yeah.
right. Because it wasn't even
You're not
the
even
ones
getting.
that you got for Christmas at the club that will remain nameless that we frequent
Somewhere in Georgia.
somewhere in Georgia. But it's even if you buy singles or every one that I've ever had, there's something about them. They just don't burn properly.
Agree. And
Yeah.
because of that, I feel like the way it delivers the flavor, it's got a harshness to it that you almost feel in the back of your throat. Where
Yep.
when you have the pyramid version of that, it's smooth,
Yeah.
it's refined, it's what you'd expect in a Davidoff.
And the Robusto and the Petite Corona
Agree.
are also great
Yeah.
in Millennium.
Yeah.
And the Robusto in late hour, the late hour Robusto is a great cigar.
Agree.
A really, really great cigar.
Well, let's ask Bam about the Toro Millennium. Since you're the expert on the Millenniums.
I don't know if I'm an expert, but what's unusual, you won't get the flavor notes in the Toro that you get in the Pyramid. I mean, it's unusual.
I agree with that because to
It's
your
just
point,
so weird.
to
It's
your,
the same blend.
It is.
Yeah.
It doesn't burn the same way.
No, because the ratio is different, right? You're
Right.
getting less of the wrapper with the Toro and more of the tobacco inside, and it just changes it up. But
Yeah.
to Bam's exact point, the only Millennium I ever had for a while was the Toro, and I didn't like it at all. I categorically didn't want to smoke the Millennium series, and it was Bam who said to me, "Have you ever had the Pyramid?" And I said, "No. How different can it be?" So I'm telling you, you got to try the Pyramid. And ever since I lit one of those up, now it's part of my regular rotation. I always have a few boxes of Pyramid.
And also the Petite Corona, I think, is a fantastic size.
Yeah.
It's just so
Oh,
expensive.
yeah.
Thank
But
you.
it's so good.
But it's so good,
Honestly,
though.
that's my one frustration.
It's the money.
Gizmo and I were talking about this lately.
It's almost all
the,
flavor.
The Millennium
It's
Petite
awesome.
Corona is excellent, but
It's
at the
so good.
price point is ridiculous.
Unless you can get it on that
You'll pay
special site.
$14 at some retailers for that stick. I may as well buy an Exclusivo and just smoke half of it and throw the rest
it away.
out.
Yeah.
Just feels like a better
Might as
value.
well
That's
buy
a
Padron.
full Robusto.
I
Or
know.
El Jefe.
El Jefe.
I know. But when
Those are
you
$8.
when you smoke one though, man, they are good. They are. I mean, it's a really
I agree.
satisfying cigar, quick cigar. But you feel like you beat the system. You go, wow, that was really a good short smoke. Maybe one of the better short smokes around. They're just. It's painful to buy. It's painful to buy a full box.
Yep.
So
know.
the Davidoff story is interesting. I was looking into it a little bit. Obviously, I think they're one of the rare brands that had a very successful existence in Cuba, left Cuba, and then almost 10 years later started the Dominican heavy version of Davidoff and created a really luxury cigar brand. You know,
Very sought after, the pre-embargo Davidoffs,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah, Rooster has them all in his
Very
tower.
special
He's hidden them
sticks.
away.
I wish.
Won't ever share.
I sure wish. One day.
yeah, all Cuban Davidoffs were discontinued in '91.
Well, Zeno Davidoff burned like a huge. He was. I'm not an expert on the brand history of Davidoff. I'm not going to pretend to be, but I know that he did set fire to a significant amount of cigars in the thousands because he was so frustrated with I think with the quality of what was coming out of Cuba, and at that time. And you'd have to Google that. I'm not a cigar historian, but I know that it was a big deal. He did it publicly. And certainly the Cuban government wasn't big on that. And he moved on, moved his business on. And then I want to say they went to, I could be wrong. Someone's got to Google this. We need a producer person to Google something. But I want to say they went to, I don't think they went to the Dominican Republic first. I want to say they went to Nicaragua and then got hustled out.
Was
for
it
political
Honduras?
reasons.
The only thing that
or
I'm seeing,
or Honduras or something. I mean, they didn't wind up in the DR right out of the gate. They had to jump around a little bit, just like Padron had to.
but I'm seeing here. I took some pictures of the Min Ron book today, before I came, and what it says is that all Cuban Davidoffs were discontinued in 91. According to a mutual agreement, neither Davidoff nor Cuba Tobacco, that's the predecessor to Habanos S.A., could offer any Cuban Davidoff for sale after the last day of 1982. Dominican Davidoff started to appear in the market in November 1990. So I guess there was an 8-year swing,
Right.
which is probably where he was trying to figure out how to restart the business.
Right. Yeah.
But it's it's interesting that not only did they, I don't know if it was a mutual parting of ways, but they parted ways and he left with the brand.
Yeah.
Most of the other ones they just kicked the families out and took them over.
Well, yeah. They just said, we're going to, you can stay here and you can work. The other makers, families who own those businesses fled, which is why going back to the whole subject of how if the embargo was ever lifted, it would be problematic from a trademark perspective here in the
Definitely.
U.S. How do you sell Cuban Monte Cristos and Nicaraguan Monte Cristos in the same store? They would have to open up basically La Casa de Habanos retail outlets separate, but it would start all kinds of lawsuits.
Yeah, that would be very challenging once the Cuban market opens up and we start getting Cuban cigars in the U.S. I mean, it would be two different cohibas.
Right. It would be a mess.
Very odd, yeah.
That's why it's never as much as they say, the embargo is going to be lifted. Like, no one wants the embargo lifted. The embargo wouldn't do anything except there'd be a mad rush on supply for Cuban cigars here in the States, and there'd be all kinds of lawsuits and prices would skyrocket. It's the worst thing that could ever happen to Cuban cigars. For the Cuban cigar smoker here in the U.S., it would be a mess. Prices would be through the roof, lawsuits, and a run on
Supply would be horrible, yeah. I mean, there already is right now just because of COVID and everything else going on. So let's dive into this Scotch. So the senator picked up this Dalmore single malt.
Dalmore Cigar Malt. So basically, I figured if we're having the Chef's Edition, which is supposed to be a full-bodied cigar, almost like a really nice meal, you've got to pair it with something nice. So the only single malt I know of that is designed to be smoked with a cigar is this Dalmore Cigar Malt. It was apparently discontinued in 2009. They then started using older single malt to make it, which increased the price significantly. It's a really bizarre. I'm actually really glad that Gizmo walked us through the Chef's Edition, how it's this mix of everything. I mean, Mexico, Honduras, Ecuador.
Yeah.
And this Scotch, 70% of it is aged in Oloroso sherry casks. The remaining 30% is in ex-American bourbon barrels and Cabernet barrels, which is really bizarre. I've never seen that in a Scotch before. Right. So it should be interesting.
Yeah.
Beautiful color.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
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 Oh,
very
boy.
good.
Oh,
Wow.
boy. That's delicious.
I can see some smiles on a lot of faces.
Wow.
Oh, man. Wow.
That's different.
That's good.
It's very smooth.
No ice permitted.
Is it a lot like the Kirkland Scotch?
No.
Not even close.
No.
We're all drinking this neat, and this is one of the smoothest Scotches
Very
I've ever
smooth.
had.
It's
Wow.
quite good. Yeah.
Wow.
And it, wonderfully pairs with the Chef's Edition.
It does.
It's great. I don't know why I expected the cigar malt Scotch to be like, eh? Like,
Well,
that was
because-
my expectation.
Yeah, when you hear about a Scotch that's made for cigars, you kind of question it, right?
Yeah, it's true.
But this is legit.
And it's
legit.
it's not cheap. How much was it, Senator?
It's $190 a bottle.
Wow.
So I wish you didn't say that they put it in a Cabernet bottle or in a Cabernet barrel,
Because you would have
Could
picked
you-
that up?
No, I don't know if I would have, but I don't know if I would have or not.
I don't think I would have either.
But I feel like there's a sweetness. Maybe that's from the bourbon barrel, but there's a sweetness to it that's, but it's like not, but it's balanced. It's not
Very.
it's not it's not sweet, but there's just a hint of sweetness there that, boy, is nice.
I agree.
There's an interesting, and tell me if I'm crazy.
I'm trying
not,
to get a note here, but
I'm not a
it's
connoisseur.
unusual.
I'm not a connoisseur, but like on the nose, it's very different what I would expect when I taste it.
Yes.
There's a disconnect there
Agreed.
for me. Not in a bad way. It's just
No, no.
surprising.
Well, it
mean,
smells like Scotch. It's just when you taste it, it doesn't. I mean, it just fucking smells like Scotch. But when you taste it,
Yeah, give his pipe down.
I mean, I didn't say it didn't smell like Scotch, but it's really good.
For me, on the nose, you get like dried fruit,
Yep.
some cinnamon, but when you actually sip it, there's this sweetness that you don't. I didn't.
Are you getting a
expect.
maple? Maple?
A little, yeah, almost like a maple.
I was hesitating in saying that, but
and
I'm getting
I
maple.
actually think that when you sip it, you can actually get this strange wine-like taste.
I
That's
don't
what
disagree.
it is. That's really what it is.
Honestly, that's what I was saying. That's exactly where I was going. I'm like, I wish you wouldn't have told me about this Cabernet because like I'm biased, but it's there.
It is.
I mean, it's no joke there. It tastes a little bit
It's different, and that
like there's a wine taste to
the
it.
difference is in that cask. That's what's creating that.
And what's crazy
experience.
is, from what I've read, everyone is trying to. The only thing that they publicly release is that 70% of it has been in a sherry cask. They don't tell you the breakdown, but most people have said that they think 10% is in that cab cask. And it's amazing for only 10% of what's in that bottle to come out of a Cabernet barrel.
time.
But you actually get it on the finish.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
very complex.
Yeah, because if you the Balvenie, right?
I'm going with a chip, putting a chip in
Yeah, it's a good idea.
just to open it up, get a different note.
Yeah. That's aged in sherry casks.
Yeah.
So that depending on which one you get.
Well, it's similar to this in that. So the 12 double wood is half sherry, half American oak.
But you don't get that. You don't get that note. You don't get that fruit. There's like that fruit forward
Right.
note that's in that. You don't.
Are you
true.
getting any
You
notes
don't.
of bitter citrus, toffee, custard,
Toffee, I'm
Toffee
getting.
I can
yeah,
get, yeah.
caramel,
a little maple, a bit of maple for me.
buttery mouthfeel?
Buttery,
Totally.
yes.
Definitely
Definitely
buttery
that.
mouthfeel.
Buttery,
Definitely.
toffee, maple. That's all. That all
Yeah, it's
works.
super awesome, dude. This is super delicious
It's
Scotch.
excellent. It's excellent.
It's
And
super
those
delicious.
are all the notes that I'm getting from my Brooklyn Lager non-alcoholic.
From your phone.
Yeah, it's
So
super delicious.
I'm not a wine guy. I'm not a wine connoisseur like you guys are. Do you guys enjoy wine with cigars?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Like what?
I enjoy wine like
honestly,
in
so
the
you'll-
shower.
you'll-
I'm joking, but I mean, yeah, of
No, you're
course.
not.
I mean,
So very bizarre that you say that, because this will sound strange. I actually first started smoking cigars for years, primarily drinking wine with cigars more than Scotch. Now I drink Scotch more with cigars than I do wine, but no exaggeration. When I was out of college, I was living in DC, and every Sunday, my roommate and I would grill steaks. We'd sit up on our rooftop, and I'd have a bottle of wine, a big cigar, a nice steak. And just for me, wine actually pairs fantastically with cigars because, you know, cigars, especially the kind of cigars that we smoke, even when I first started smoking cigars, I wasn't smoking Connecticut shade cigar. I liked fuller flavor. They were shitty cigars now for what I smoke, but they were full flavored. So that can withstand, that holds up against a really rich cab. It holds up against a bold Scotch. So I think it pairs fantastically with a cigar.
and what kind of wine are we talking? Like, what do you go for? Is it a dark red? What do you?
For me, yeah, it's a full-bodied red.
Cabernet.
A cab would definitely be the preference, or a red blend that's got some really nice complexity to it, like a Bordeaux style blend.
So we're all about a third of the way through this cigar. What are we? What are you feeling right now?
It's one
good.
act so far, right?
Yeah.
A lot of creamy notes,
Agree.
cedar. Still getting. I think initially I got like more pepper than I'm getting now.
I agree. I feel like it's actually gotten a little sweeter as I'm smoking
Right.
it further along.
That could be from the Scotch you just drank.
I got that though even before the Scotch. It was after like the first inch of ash.
It's
I
a
started
little
to
less
pick that up.
peppery.
Yeah.
It's really nice. It's
elegant.
It's elegant. It's a special occasion cigar. It's if somehow you could smoke one of these in the same spot that you'd smoke maybe a late hour Churchill after a long where that fits into an evening, where a really nice Churchill fits into an evening. Unfortunately, due to the price point and the availability and everything else, it doesn't fit like that. But I think that this is a cigar for after a meal, or after a really great meal. It's what it's designed to do. You know, it's complex. It delivers. It's got power.
Yes.
And there's no bitterness whatsoever.
None.
It's the burn and the draw is it's very good.
And no citrus in this either.
All right. So when we get to rating this, Bam's giving it a 2.
Yeah, that's right. No, it's not one of these. It's not one of the fruity cigars like Bam likes.
Would you consider this a one and done cigar for the evening? Does it have a caliber of cigar where you have your dinner, you have your cigar, and you go home?
No.
No.
Yeah, but this is the wrong group to ask that
Wow.
question to.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true.
Most of society
Could
doesn't sit down and do 7 cigars.
Could it be the last cigar of the evening? Certainly.
Yeah.
You know,
But it is an after dinner cigar.
Yeah, no doubt
definitely.
about it.
I would not want this on
I
an
agree.
empty stomach.
No.
You know, I'm thinking about too. Like we talked about presentation, 10 cigars, the way it shows up at your door. This is a great gift for a cigar smoker, like around the holidays.
Absolutely.
You know, your boss, somebody you work with, you know, a friend that smokes cigars, a family. Like this is a perfect presentation for the holiday.
It's super duper.
Yeah,
Like I'd be thrilled if somebody gave me a box of these for
But at a
Christmas.
dinner party, if you pulled out that ashtray full of 10 of these beautiful sticks,
Amazing.
it's impressive.
Yeah.
The thing that's pleasing to me about it is that it delivers. A lot of these Davidoff releases, quite frankly, aren't that good. A lot of them are overpriced and don't deliver like this does. So when you throw in the combination of the presentation, which is, I think, it's unanimous, even based on other reviews that I've read online about the cigar after smoking the first one. When I received that ashtray and the cigar tray that comes with it, it's fantastic.
I was a little giddy when I got it.
Yeah, you're like, this is really nice. And then, so it wasn't that was just really nice. Then you smoke the cigar and you go, this is really, really, really nice.
Yep.
So I think when you put all those things together, it's a really nice package. And you actually feel like it delivered on value. When with some of these other releases, like the Year of the Ox and some of these that big huge ring gauge cigar that came out last year, and some of these other releases, and even some of the other quote unquote hyped up marketing cigars like the Royal and some of this other stuff, they don't live up to the price tag. And this does.
Yeah.
This delivers. This is worth its value. It delivers on price, on the experience, the presentation, which for me is a pleasant surprise for what Davidoff has done in the past, which some of these releases have not blown my hair back. This kind of did.
Here's a question.
And am I wrong, or are you guys? I'm pleased
Absolutely.
with it. I'm
right
pleasantly-
behind you, 100% with you. Here's a question. Would any of you put this ahead of the late hour Churchill?
I think it depends on what you're looking for at any given moment.
I think it's more refined, a little bit more
I think
smooth.
so too.
It's smoother than the late hour.
I think so too.
Late hour has like this, I don't know if lack of a better word, like a little edginess to it.
There's a bite.
I agree with that.
There's a bite
yeah,
to it. And this is like very complex,
Absolutely.
very smooth.
So now, with all that said, would you put it ahead the late hour?
Yeah, so to me, it's a very easy answer. Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I would put this ahead of the Millennium.
Thank you.
To me,
Yep.
Absolutely.
this is as good of a Davidoff
As
as
I've
I've
ever
ever
had,
had.
ever.
Right.
Agreed.
I mean, it's
Agreed.
almost no contest.
Agreed.
And then the
Yeah.
question is just where do you rank after
it.
that, the Millennium
Yeah.
or the late hour?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Again, this
This
is
is-
also a limited production.
Well, that's what I'm
The
saying.
late hour, you're going to get that.
It's a standard
you'll have it
production
all the
cigar.
time.
Yeah.
Millennium is a standard production. So this is a special stick. It's here and gone.
This is true.
So
My feelings about the late hour, it's just that really holds a special place in my heart. Like when you're a few scotches deep, a few cigars deep, that really just, to me, it just buttons up the night. And I think about how many times we've all smoked those outside around a fire, whatever it may be. Like it's just a great cigar. So I guess I just attach my memory to that.
No, I agree with that. And I actually think it's one of the best cigars to pair with Scotch. And it's not a coincidence that obviously that the late hour is aged, the tobacco is actually aged in X single malt barrels. So they're trying to impart some of that flavor. But just when you pair that with a Macallan, I mean, it's incredible in a way that obviously you'll enjoy a Millennium with a Scotch. But for me, the late hour is the perfect cigar
It certainly
to
is.
pair with a single malt. And this I would put right up there with that.
Yeah. This, yes. And not to go on and on, but yes, this is a better cigar. It's a more complex cigar. It's delivering in the power department.
Oh yeah.
It's but in a good way.
it's a flavor bomb.
In a good way. Yes. It's a
A lot
full
of flavor.
it's full. And it's full. And it's good. There's no doubt about it. It's a relaxing cigar. You feel good about it.
What are your thoughts, Giz?
I think it's fantastic. I think it's very elegant. I'm like your point. I'm very relaxed. I think it's pairing well with the Scotch.
I want
This
more
is-
of them.
This is
to
a
be
slam
honest.
dunk.
I agree. And I
want
think
more.
the biggest thing-
I want fucking more of these.
I agree. And I think the biggest thing, I'm critical of Davidoff because price point does matter, right? We can pretend it doesn't, but
Oh, it
no
does.
one wants to feel like they're paying and not getting the same value in return. And with so many Davidoffs, I feel like that's the case. You're spending a lot of money for a stick and you're not getting back nearly what you paid for. And this is one of the few cigars, and I'm saying this to anyone out there who is skeptical of spending $35, $40 on a stick. This is one of the few Davidoffs that is special enough that I actually think warrants that price tag for the limited release, because there are a lot of limited release cigars they put out that are 40 a stick that I've bought. And I sit there and say, there's no way I would ever pay this again for that
No
stick.
way.
Right.
No way. Absolutely. There's stuff that we've picked up as singles that are limited releases, picked up multiple singles and said, no way. This is not a $40 cigar.
Yep.
This is.
Agreed.
So what do they do? Every year they do a year of the ox, year of the rabbit on the Chinese calendar,
Monkey.
right? And then they also do they do one LE a year or multiple?
One.
They do one LE with the year on it, right?
What-
So it's a 2021 LE.
Yeah.
So where would you put, given I haven't smoked most of those.
Neither have I.
So I know that you guys have. I don't know if Puba has, but
We have.
This
You
is
guys
better.
have.
This is definitely better.
where
than
would
the-
you rank those though? Would you say the LEs are generally better? The year of those are better?
It depends on the year. The last one was the year of the ox, which came in like a 50 ring gauge and a 60 ring gauge. I didn't have the 50. I had the 60 ring gauge.
That's a big
It
cigar.
was a good cigar, but not quite like this. Wasn't as complex.
Not even close.
And not deserving of its price point, if we're being
Right.
honest. I mean, I'm sorry. That year of the ox, I had that cigar. I had a couple of those. the smoke output is tremendous. I enjoyed sitting back and just being a chimney for an evening. But I think that cigar was $45 I spent on it. It's not worth $45.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
It's a beautiful
Cigar
box.
is much better.
No, and
The
it's
box,
not.
yes.
This is. You're right, and this is like. To me, I feel like this Chef's Edition Churchill is a cigar that is meant to be smoked with others. It's meant to be smoked together. It's meant to be shared together. It makes you. It's not something that I would smoke by myself on my deck or in a lounge by myself. This is a celebratory stick. It's a it feels that way. It delivers in that way.
It looks that way.
It looks that way. It's very. It tastes. This is a celebratory cigar. This is a cigar that you sit down. Everybody lights one up, and you have it together. And what more can you ask for out of a stick? I think that's as much as you can ask for. If we were to go up to that hotel and all the wherever wherever and go away and sit around a fire, or like we're doing tonight, this is the type of cigar. Hey, let's all light one up.
Totally agree.
Now let me ask you a question. Let's say you're sitting with a group that there's some guys there that don't smoke cigars like we do, or like would you share this with
No.
an amateur
Those
smoker?
are frustrating.
way.
Those
No
are frustrating
fucking
moments,
way.
by the way.
Yeah.
They
Never.
are.
You have sticks for them.
That's in the guest humidor.
The problem is
It's called Camacho.
they see you're smoking something else,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they get bent out of shape, and eventually you end up giving them one, and they don't understand it. They smoke too quickly. I notice guys going through cigars very, very quickly. Now, I'm a fast smoker, but I take my time, I think.
We would disagree with that.
I know you do,
You blow through cigars.
but I make love to a cigar. I make love to this cigar. I take my time.
To everything.
You're putting the ball on the tee right now for Puba.
I can tell.
ball is hit it out of the park.
You just put the ball on the tee.
All right, Puba, go.
Bases loaded.
You'd make love to a catcher's mitt.
In high school, I have.
Isn't that called conditioning the mitt?
Yeah.
He could do a small scale production batch of mitt conditioning.
Rolling mitts. Put me on the end of the conveyor belt.
That's right. That's right. Well, I think we can all agree this is nice.
I will say though, so I hear a lot of guys. We've talked about this, and I hear some guys say, "Oh, well, you've got cigars for those kind of guys that you give out." And I have to say, first of all, I have a hard time wanting to stock like shit I don't like to smoke.
Right.
What's in my humidor? Every single thing in there I would smoke. And what I will say is, obviously, I have plenty of friends who don't know anything about cigars, but they're interested, right? They'll occasionally smoke a cigar. What I do love, would I give this as the first cigar to someone who's a novice? No way. Exactly. It's a very strong cigar. But what I will say is, I have a few friends that I've had come by this past year who don't smoke very often, and I've given Padrones that they've really, really enjoyed. And they're just ripping through these cigars. I mean, these are guys who smoke like one cigar and that's it. They're done for the day, and they're ripping through these Padrones, and I'm sitting there saying, "Holy shit!" They're like, this whole box is about to be gone. So I'm pulling out something that I don't necessarily reach for all the time, and I'm like, they'll probably enjoy them. And what's amazing when you introduce people, and just like us, when you introduce them to good cigars, I'll never forget. After I had a whole box of Padrones out, everyone's smoking Exclusivos, loving these. Can I have another? Can I have another? And I pulled out a box of Oliva Milanios.
Uh-oh.
And literally, I had one of my friends say to me, he goes, "This is not as good as the other cigars you were giving us. What is this?" And
That's
I was
great.
sitting there
That's
saying,
great.
he's only had these this day, and he's instantly picked up
That's
on
great.
the difference between a Padron and an Oliva. They're very different. They're not
That's
in the same category or class any day of the week.
No.
So I do think people's ability, their palate's ability to learn and adjust happens pretty quickly.
Oh, it certainly does.
Remember when you gave me my first Exclusivo at the lounge? how quickly my palate changed. I literally went downstairs, returned everything I had purchased 10 minutes before, and bought all Padrones.
It's true. I'll never forget. Giz literally looks at me and said, "Thank you so much. This is incredible." And he goes, "The problem is everything I just bought downstairs, I don't want after having this cigar." And I said, "Don't worry about it. Just go down and tell me you want to exchange it all." And he literally did that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's what ends up happening with the Cuban vortex. You once you smoke a D4, then you end up, you smoke a Monte Cristo number 2, and a good one if you find a good one. And you end up going down and you're saying, my God, who could believe that this world is wide open? And that opens up a whole new world to the best, in my opinion, the best of the best. I mean, there's Padron, there's Davidoff, and there's Habanos SA and everything else. It's hard to top that. I mean,
if only Grinder were here, he would add Plasencia, but
I would say that, for a novice to give this cigar would,
it's too much.
It doesn't make sense. I
Doesn't
mean, you
make
really
sense.
want to go through the Davidoff line. You start off with the 1000 series, the 2000 series, and then move up to the Grand Cru, then the Millennium, and then the special edition. This is a full flavored cigar.
It's a big cigar.
yeah. But I would also argue if you have friends like mine that have gotten hooked on Padrones, you'd start them at a Millennium.
Oh, yeah.
And then honestly, this next, because a late hour, I think Rooster was very accurate when he said there's an edginess to the late hour, which if you smoke a lot of cigars and you like full flavor, you want that edge sometimes. But for a novice cigar smoker, that's going to be a big leap.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is right in between a Millennium and a late hour.
Yep.
Yeah. It's more complex. It's full bodied, but it has a complexity that neither the Millennium or the late hour has that is unique all into itself.
Right.
It's like no other Davidoff that I've had. And kudos to the folks who blended this. It's a special occasion cigar. And I want more of them. I may wind up with 3 ceramic ashtrays. Because they are good. I mean, they're really good. Not one touch up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not one
In the whole room.
touch
In
up.
the whole room.
In the whole room.
Not one time.
Exactly
You
right.
haven't heard one click.
It's a great post-Thanksgiving meal cigar.
Oh yeah.
Crisp autumn day. Oh,
Fuck, man.
oh
Yeah,
man.
they did a good job.
And I just love a Churchill. You
Same
know,
here.
When you get a
Right.
great Churchill, there's nothing better than a great Churchill.
I'm so glad you said that. I've said this 1,000 times. The late hour Churchill in your hand, just like this cigar, nothing feels better to smoke. Just in your hand. It's the perfect ring gauge. The smoke output is still great. You can just smoke this for, you can watch a football game. You can spend a lot of time doing something and just enjoy that cigar. I mean, the Churchill is a legendary.
It's
Vitola.
fantastic. Yeah, it is, and it's power. You feel powerful. Just the way you can hold it. You can hold it with 4 fingers. You feel powerful. It feels good. It lighting a Churchill's, and cigars are about time.
Time spent beautifully.
Time beautifully filled.
That's what it is.
Davidoff's.
Is
Time
that
beautifully
Davidoff's?
filled.
Right, that's
Davidoff's
right.
tagline.
Right,
Time beautifully filled.
right? But so when you light a Churchill too, you're also in a mindset. You're in a mindset of you sit down and you're saying, this is a time investment.
Yeah.
And so you're also, there's a mindset to lighting a Churchill, because you've got the time, you've thought about it, planned it, or it just happened to fall upon you. But regardless, you're there, and when you light it up, that you're in the zone. And I think that plays into it. You light up a Robusto. You could be driving somewhere. You could be, hey, I got 40 minutes I'm gonna get a smoke in. You're in the zone and you're ready. You're prepared for the delivery of it too. So I think the mindset that you're in when you smoke one plays into it. It's important. And I'm ready. When you light one of these up, it's a shape like this, you're ready. You're saying to yourself, I'm all in.
And I think that goes to the point about price too. Like, somebody asked, my brother actually asked me the other day, so why the hell would you spend $35-$40 on a cigar? And to me, it's like, all right, if I can get 90 minutes or 2 hours even, if I'm smoking slowly, of just absolute relaxation and enjoyment, where else can you get that kind of time for $30 or $40?
Yeah.
No, you're exactly right.
Great point.
And you think about it, I've had
Well,
guys
I don't know. Ask around.
Bam.
Well, not for $40.
Well,
I mean,
I'll tell you.
Unless you're getting a foot massage.
Depends on the company.
but Gizmo, to your point, I mean, I've had friends of mine who are, they would call themselves novice cigar smokers, and they would say, oh, if I would normally spend $10, $15 on a cigar, I'm not going to spend much more than that. And they're buying Robustos. You think of a Churchill, I mean, it's basically almost 2 Robustos.
Yeah.
And a late hour, for instance, is $25.
Yeah.
It's actually a phenomenal value for
Yeah,
that
it is.
stick.
Yep.
Even this at 30-something bucks, it's 2 Robustos.
right.
It's well worth it.
Right.
So you're saying they could cut it in half and smoke the other half later?
Well, Gizmo already cut
I knew
his
that
in
was
half.
coming. I knew that was coming.
What? No. No, Gizmo. Say it ain't
If we
so.
were on a desert island, we'd cut
he's,
them in half.
he's
Sure.
criticizing how I used to cut my cigars before I got
Yeah,
my
you
new
practically
cutter.
cut them in half.
Used to.
Used to.
Education never ends.
I'm going to go smoke outside. You guys want to give it the formal lizard rating? You
No
guys ready?
decimals?
Yep.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Pooh, what do you got?
Well, I'll have to round up and give it a 9.
All right. Got a 9.
I am also going to give it a 9.
I'm in the exact same camp. Easily a 9.
For me, it's a 10.
Oh, Rooster.
Awesome,
High
Rooster.
praise. I
Yeah.
love that.
9. Now, I put a Millennium at 9 as well.
Okay.
So it's a much different cigar for me, but I get a different type of appreciation for this cigar than I would a Millennium, but I happen to love both. So for me, from the point of view of the love of the cigar, that's a 9 for me.
The official lizard score across all of us is a 9.2.
That's
very high praise.
A
Very high praise.
Very
Very.
strong recommend. On
Oh
that.
yeah.
And I respect
accurate.
I respect Rooster's 10 because out of everybody here, he certainly is currently smoking the most Davidoffs.
Yeah.
I'm giving it a 10, not just for the cigar. Yes, for the cigar, but also the packaging and everything else that is part of it.
And the name of the Scotch again?
Dalmore.
It's the Dalmore Cigar Malt.
Very good.
Very good. It's a perfect pairing. Dalmore,
really is. With this stick,
Dalmore
very nice.
cigar.
I'm glad to
cigar
hear it.
malt.
I'm glad to hear it because it was a risk. So the irony, I've only had. How many guys have had
But
Dalmore?
we talked about it.
We did.
Right?
How many guys have had
Never.
Dalmore before?
Never.
Never.
I haven't.
Never. You had any
Never.
Dalmore? All right. So I'm the only one that's tried Dalmore. And I've always looked at this bottle. And Rooster and I were just talking about this the other night. I mean, to have designed a Scotch with the intent to smoke it with a cigar, I've been curious. And I thought maybe it's just a marketing gimmick. And I said, you know what? What a better time to try it than now? We
Right.
might as well.
Yeah, very thoughtful, Senator.
Chef's Edition 2021, boys. 9.2.
Fantastic.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Keep smoking.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments, questions, if you want to reach out, say hello, tell us what you're smoking, email us, loungelizardspod, P-O-D, loungelizardspod@gmail.com. Really appreciate your time, and we'll see you next week.